judge of the federal court in Canada. We are principally a court of judicial review of Canada's federal apparatus. Part of that judicial review function, a large part of it, is immigration and refugee law, which takes up about, I'd say, a third of our resources at any given time. And I have the privilege at this time to be the Chief Justice of that court. I rely heavily on the person to my right and others. One of my colleagues on the court, the Honorable Barnes. So I guess I introduced you. You go ahead. There you go.
Yeah, that's me, and I'm Tomato as well.
My name is Sylvia Costa-Kent. I'm head of the legal services at the Immigration Refugee Board of Canada.
I'm Hugo Sori. I'm a senior immigration judge in the Upper Tribunal in the United Kingdom. I'm also involved in the International Association of Refugee Law Judges. Just very quickly on that, our jurisdiction, ours is an error of law jurisdiction. But if we find an error of law, we can then look at it on the merits.
I'm Safinder Jas. I'm a professor of law at King's College London, as well as a deputy judge of the Upper Tribunal dealing with immigration cases.
I am Kashim Zanda, judge of the High Court of the University of Nigeria.
Bernard Mate, I'm the judge and the president of the High Court in South Africa, and also governing up the city where as the judge of the African Court for Human Rights.
I'm Michel Deter, Vice President of the International Institute of Humanitarian Law in San Remo, Italy, but I'm from Geneva, Switzerland.
My name is Michael Berczyński. I direct graduate studies at the London School of Public International Affairs, which is part of your university.
And I am Chibu, chairperson of the Refugee Board in South Africa.
My name is Esme Jomo. I sit on the High Court of Malawi, and it's a court of both original and administrative jurisdiction.
My name is Brian Goodman. Nice to see many of you again. I'm chairperson of the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, and also its chief executive officer. The Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada is, in essence, a specialized court, expert, to which deference is usually accorded by the federal court, which, as you heard from our Chief Justice, the federal court hears into applications for judicial review from our decisions. The Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada actually is 3, soon to be 4 tribunals. So it consists not only of a refugee protection division, but an immigration appeal division, which hears appeals from sponsorship applications, removal orders, and residency obligation requirements. And also our immigration division, which hears detention reviews. You may have read about that in terms of mass arrivals on our west coast from Sri Lanka, and also admissibility hearings. Soon we will have, when the Balanced Refugee Reform Act comes into force, on a date yet to be determined, we will have a 4th division, the Refugee Appeal Division. And the federal court will actually be hearing applications for judicial review from that division, as opposed to the current case, which is the Refugee Protection Division. I'm sorry for such a long introduction, but once again, I'm delighted to be here and delighted to have Sylvia here, our Senior General Counsel, and a great strength for me.
I'm Mary Ellen Fullerton from Brooklyn Law School in New York, where I teach refugee law and forced migration. And I also teach federal courts and federal civil procedures, so I'm glad to be here for multiple reasons.
Good morning. My name is Jim Hathaway. My primary appointment is at the University of Michigan Law School, where I direct our program in refugee and asylum law. I'm also a professor at the University of Melbourne and the University of Amsterdam.
Again, Susan McGrath. I'm an associate professor here in New York in the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies and director of the Center for Refugee Studies. I'm Michelle Millard. I'm the coordinator at the Center for Refugee Studies and also the project manager and coordinator of the Refugee Research Network.
I'm Tony North, the judge of the Federal Court of Australia. Our court, similar to the Federal Court of Australia, we have a judicial review jurisdiction in refugee cases, which constitutes possibly a third of the work of the court. It's a particular delight for me to be here because James and I have really gone through a history over the last maybe 5 or 7 years, which is in fact born this child. And I notice particularly Justice Nweke, Justice Sana, Justice Chombo, and Mr. Chipper, whom I haven't met, but I welcome very warmly. These are judicial figures in Africa of great significance, whom James and I were privileged to meet in my role as president of the International Association of Refugee Law Judges, and James's then as executive director of the association. And from that initiative on my part and enormous hard work on his has grown this now second critical workshop, and it's unique in its bringing together academia and the judiciary, and I'm hoping that the idea will thrive because I think it's an enlightened idea. We have much to thank York for its backing of the concept right from the beginning. Thanks.
I'm Anis Horowitz. I work at UNHCR as Senior Research Officer in the Division of International Protection.
I'm James O'Reilly. I have the privilege of being a colleague of Chief Justice Alan Lutfi and Justice Robert Barnes on the Federal Court of Canada.
I'm Sherry Aiken, a law professor at Queen's University in Kingston and a long-standing associate of York Center for Refugee Studies. I might also mention that I'm the immediate former editor of the journal Refuge, and we have our current editor with us, Michael Baratitsky, down there. And I wanted to mention that there's display copies of the journal behind us on the table in case anyone is interested in taking a look or possibly subscribing. Thank you.
My name is Harald Dörig. I'm judge at the Federal Administrative Court in Germany, and we are a court of last resort. We are Supreme Court in Germany, and we are working in several divisions. We call it senates, and the senate where I'm working in is occupied with immigration and refugee law. And I'm also a member of the International Association of Refugee Law Judges.
I'm Hélène Lambert, professor of international law at the University of Westminster in the United Kingdom. And my primary interest is in international refugee law, but also European refugee law.
Good morning again, everyone. I'm James Simeon with the School of Public Policy and Administration at the Center for Refugee Studies here at York University. And thank you again, everyone, for being here.
Well, I'm going to turn to you in a moment, James, but before doing so, I think you got it wrong, James. You ought not to be thanking us for being here. If I can look around the table and say, good morning, James, good morning, Tony, good morning, Harold, good morning, Hugo, good morning, others. It's because of you. You have brought us together. You're distinguished for many reasons, one of which, this motley crew of lawyers, judges, and legally trained people, you have distinct badge and honor not to be tainted by any legal formation, and yet you lead us in this canvassing of important international issues of immigration and refugee law. And
He's
so,
also distinguished, if I could, Chief Justice,
absolutely,
as being the former coordinating member in Toronto of the Immigration and Refugee Board's Refugee Protection Commission.
There you go.
I just thought
that is helpful. Thank you for reminding us of that. So, we still like him, Brian.
He sat as a decision maker. That's the point I'm trying to make.
No, he's had the field experience.
Exactly.
Very good.
In the trenches.
Yeah. Which, again, we've got to keep on schedule, but Brian's board is composed of competent people, only 10% of whom have to be lawyers. And so James would have been of the caliber of one of your non-legally trained board members when he was doing what he was doing.
Top member.
Terrific. And yes, you brought us together, James, in 2008. You brought us together in 2010. You brought us together again today. You are a facilitator. You do this enormous amount of work in preparing the program, cajoling people into preparing learning papers. And while these things are often done at the end of the meeting, I'm going to invite everybody around this table to join me in expressing our appreciation to James Simeon of York University for everything he's done.
It's a distinct honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to actually do this work. Thank you very much.
Well, the program now calls on me to introduce Professor James C. Hathaway. And I guess at the risk of being very trite, I would say, if you don't know who James Hathaway is, you should probably leave the room. and no one is budging James. So his reputation precedes himself. He needs, literally, quite a bit of his own introduction. His professional bases appear to include Michigan, Oxford, Australia, Amsterdam, and in a private moment, which won't be so private anymore, he tells me that he keeps his principal toothbrushes in between Tucson and Vancouver. So truly eclectic in his in the locations of his professional undertakings and where he lives personally. Thank you for being with us this morning, James, and I turn the podium, so to speak, over to you.